7:04. First order of business is to announce the executive session. We've just had an executive session before this meeting to discuss real estate and legal matters. Second order of business is to approve the minutes of the September 18th meeting.
I move to approve the minutes from September 18, 2017 as submitted.
A second?
You have to say it.
Oh, you're right, second. Any questions on the minutes? It was Jennifer that had, she isn't here tonight. She had an addition, I just wanted to make sure it was okay with that. Then I'll call for a vote. Yes.
So you did the addition? Because I thought what Joe suggested, it just be in the next meeting.
We enhanced this to reflect the previous
Oh,
meeting.
okay, yeah, okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Next is the police report, and this week, we have the chief with us.
Good evening. During the month of September, the West Vincent Township Police Department responded to 172 calls for service, including the following: the investigation of a fraud incident where 2 unauthorized purchases were made on the victim's credit card, and the arrest of a 49-year-old woman from Delaware for DUI and possession of drug paraphernalia after she crashed her vehicle into a utility pole in the 1900 block of Conestoga Road. Thank you.
Any questions for the chief? Francis?
Do we charge for...
Excuse me, I apologize. We're going to start a new rule. I'm going to ask you to walk up and use the microphone, because one of the supervisors is half deaf.
What?
I'd like to know, do we charge for excess amount of calls, alarms, calls?
We do have an ordinance, and we can, under certain circumstances, yes, we can cite.
When was the last time you charged anybody?
Never.
Okay, thank you.
We try to work it out, okay?
And I thank you.
Actually, if they did, I would have been one of the first ones to be billed when I moved in.
I didn't say that.
Any other questions for the chief?
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Thanks.
Next, we have the approval of the bills list. This week's bills list is, the township bills list is $31,387.05. The reimbursable bills list is $73,139, and the subdivision utility plant bills list is $16,085.58, for a total of $120,611.63.
I move that the board approve the bills list dated October 2nd, 2017, with a total amount of $120,611.63.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions from the audience? Art? You're going to have to start sitting closer to the center now.
I stay over there, stay on the way to flat. There are two items here that I wanted to ask about. Eagle Service Center for the police mountain balance 4 tires. And then right under that, the Exton Tire Company police 4 tires purchased. Now, are there 2 different sets of tires, or?
Same set of tires, but if you do the math, it comes out to about $167 a tire, which is a good rate. They purchased the tires from a different vendor. I just spent over $225 for my Nissan per tire.
So usually you get the tires balanced the same place you
This
get
time.
them. Unless you have stick-on weights or something from Mag Wheels.
It's a service that bought the tires, correct?
Right, yes, it's local.
Two different places.
Okay, but is Exton Tire Company a tire company?
Yes, and they have a state contract, that's why we buy the tires from them.
And they can also mount and balance?
The vehicle was actually towed there. One of the tires actually had such a tear on it that we couldn't even repair it to get into the garage, so it was taken to Eagle. So while it was there, we had them change the tires.
Because as I look at it, you have 4 tires, mount and balance, $192. And I just got a quote for 4 tires, and it was $79 for 4 balance and mount, and it was at a tire place. That's why I was wondering why it wasn't done at the Exton Tire Company.
But how much did you spend with all 4 tires and? Not you.
This is separate bill, so it doesn't matter.
I know.
Tires are at wax price, and then mounting and balancing are a separate price.
Right.
Right.
In this case, there's two different places that did it, so I would combine it to compare them to where you paid, is what I was getting at.
Well, except for you could take the $478 and then have them do it for $19 or $20 a tire, and save yourself $100, $120. If they do it.
Well, the $192 though does include the tow. The vehicle.
Ah,
being towed
well,
there.
that's totally different, okay. So
So-
then they probably do charge.
Yeah, they
the
came
same.
here and picked the vehicle
Gotcha.
up and took it back to their
Okay.
garage, so
Yeah,
that
it didn't
included
say
the
that,
tow,
okay.
yeah.
Now it makes more sense.
And that was also
Thoroughly
a tow.
confused you are. Too much
Okay.
information.
I'll go over it.
What's the second one?
The second one was the Sunshine Communications Corporation, fourth quarter radio rental for both the road and the police. And the road is $614, and the police are only $189. Is there a reason why? Because I didn't know the road had that many radios.
There was 15 radios total, I believe. Sound about right?
Yeah, I only know the roads, I don't know how many police have, so I know they have 5. I don't know how many police have.
How many you guys have?
2.
Oh, 2?
Right.
Oh,
You talking about end vehicles?
I don't know.
I don't know, I don't
Two
know what it
vehicles.
is.
No, I think
Two.
he's talking about. I saw this invoice.
They use them, Marty. They use them, Marty, because the telephones do not work, so they use the radios.
Okay, I just wondered because there are only 4 or 5 on the crew, and then the police have, I don't know how many officers out.
And I couldn't have-
And if each one of those is carrying a radio or what, I don't know. Seems to me there would be more in the police, or at
Yeah,
least
I
an
think
equal
the
number.
police would have more radios.
Yeah, we don't. We have 2 in the cars, and then we have 3 portables, that's it.
Well, the 2 in the cars are permanently mounted then?
Yes,
or-
they're permanently mounted.
And then you have 3 portables that you carry with us? Or
That
with
we
with-
carry, yes. Mhm.
And they're the ones that we rent, the portables, is that correct?
Well, we pay a service on them. That's a service to use the system for the portables and.
Is that what this really
That's what
means?
this
Oh,
is.
okay.
Mhm.
Okay. That's all, John, thank you.
Thank you, Arnie. Any other questions on the bills list? Sarah? Oh, you're gonna have to get up and use the mic.
Yeah, but I have to find my place first. This is just for fun, isn't it? On the Cedarville Engineering, there's a fee for Township Dirt and Gravel Road Program. What do we need Cedarville to do about our dirt and gravel roads?
We actually helped Erica apply for a grant. That was one of the things. I'm not gonna, he gives us a detailed invoice of everything that they do. And I glanced at it, but I didn't read it.
Because there are a lot of things on the reimbursable bills list to Cedarville as well. And
My point is, if you'd like that, you can call Tammy and she can read them to you in the morning, or
I can do a right to know and get a
I
copy.
hate to make you do a right to know, but you could call and it does the same thing.
Because I'm curious about what some of all of these are about, so.
Up to you.
Thank you for now, I'll be back.
Any other comments from the audience? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Next is the Kling subdivision extension request.
I move to grant the extension for the Quinn subdivision until November 10th, 2017.
Any discussion on this, gentlemen? Any thoughts? Everything, I think, oh, Brian has a question. We're gonna move the microphone over here next to you.
I'll just keep following it. Quick question, how many days extension is that?
November 10th. When's the
Yeah,
deadline?
what was it expiring?
Approximately 2.
Do you have a reason for, do you know?
Well, prior discussion on that, you were talking about they were normally a 90-day extension. I'm just curious whether this is another normal 90-day extension.
It's what,
30 days.
It's only, it's only November 10th, so.
It's within 90 days. It would appear.
Okay, thank you.
Sarah?
well, you don't want me making my comments from there, right? I I bet it's the date requested by the developer. So, wasn't your choice anyway, just check it.
If it was done in the middle of September, middle of October, so that's 60 days, so it would be within the 90 days. Any other, what's that? No.
And if he asked for longer, you could grant longer, although it's not 90. Thank you.
Any other questions from the audience? Comments from the board? Nope. All those in favor?
Aye.
Next is the motion to authorize advertisement for the open space funds hearing for the 16-year LLC.
I move to authorize the advertisement of the hearing for the use of open space of tax parcel 25-4-111 for October 16, 2017.
Second.
Any questions from the audience? Do we want to explain what this is going to, it's for the $200,000 that we, I believe we agreed upon in February. You have a question? I'm sorry, Brian, I didn't notice your hand.
The question is, you said the date is the 15th. Is that the next board supervisors meeting, or is that a special date for this?
It says
16.
16th, okay, I heard 15th.
I
You need to speak up, John, you're not the only one deaf.
Getting it.
The other thing is, what is the hearing about? I don't think I've ever heard of us conducting a hearing like this before.
You got me, but I've never been a board member that dispensed open space funds. David, can you mean? Shed some light on that?
Sorry, Joe wasn't here. We've already approved the expenditure. I guess this is a crossing of the T, dotting the I, or something like that, but it's the expenditure already approved, so.
Okay, thank you.
But next meeting, we'll have a chance to check with our solicitor.
Right.
Any other comments? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Next is the authorization to advertise for the agricultural security area renewal here.
I move that the board authorize the hearing for the AGE security renewal on November 20th.
Second.
Any questions from the audience? Sarah? Yes, you must.
I'm taking this back with me. November 20th? Why is it so far off if the other one is so soon? Why don't you just get them out of the, you have to have, when you have a hearing, you have a court reporter, right? No,
we need to post the property for 30 days.
all of them?
All of them. No, just the new ones.
I don't remember ever doing this before either. I'm with Brian on that.
I don't know.
It's every 7
That was not a date.
Thank you.
Bam!
Any other questions from the audience? We have a motion before us. All those in favor? The last item is the contribution to the non-uniform employees 457 plan.
I move this township set the contribution rate at 0.057% to the non-uniform 457 plan, funding the pension plans with the state funds received.
Second.
Any questions from the audience? Let me see if I can get myself into trouble and give you a brief synopsis of what this is. We received $91,765, and it's deposited in our account to pay for our pension funds. Of that, there's a minimum requirement for the police defined benefit plan. That amount comes to $60,340. After that, there will be $31,425.06 available for the township contribution to the 457 plan for non-uniform employees. That leaves a balance due, according to the contract with ASME, of $231.48 that we will have to write a check in addition to that funding, correct?
And actually, you keep reading the next paragraph.
And it's $376.50.
I misspoke. after paying, the balance is $376.50 that we'll have to write a check for. So the amount of compensation in the $91,765 is leaving us just a little short by $376. Do we have that in the bank account? Any questions that I thoroughly confused you? Is that a hand or are you sewing back there?
No, just pulling my
Okay.
yarn out. Okay.
Call for a vote. All those in favor? Aye. That concludes the part of the meeting. Our favorite part is the public comment on non-agenda items. Harriet,
May I go to that microphone?
is that one working?
Either one, yes, they're both
Sure.
working.
Okay. I just am more comfortable when I can see people rather than having my back to them. Last week, I saw some incomplete information about the efforts of many people to keep the open land, the old schoolhouse open and not developed with 3 commercial buildings. I can add some more details. The work done by the HBNA was very useful, as it showed the developer that his plan was deemed too dense and too environmentally damaging. After hearing much discussion about the potential development, I happened to see Ryan Todd. I said that I'd heard he had made an offer to the developer, who appeared to be getting weary of all the time this was taking. They wanted more money than he was comfortable with. I asked if he needed some help, and he said I should come to his office the next day. At that time, I said I would make some calls to alert folks for the need of support. I called a few people in the HBNA. I hoped they had had some supporters lined up in case of such a turn of events. It was also time to call in the professional, Pam Brown. She called Ken Miller, and they met to see what could be done. The EAC had seen the developer's plan, but we hadn't noticed an important fact. And I was one of the people who missed this, but Ken knew that the property was actually 2 parcels, and that could be the basis of a good outcome for the Todds and for the township. After some negotiating, the 2 parcels were sold, one to the township and one to the Todds. Ken and the other supervisors thanked the HBNA for their effective rousing and educating of the neighbors. Having so many people come to the township meetings concerning that development made it easy to the supervisors to do the right thing. And can we put that in the
I
meeting?
don't understand.
I'm sorry, put it in what?
What is this about?
She took some notes.
Just-
I just got something in the mail about the purchase of the old township building, old township and schoolhouse building. And I just got a couple more details to add to it, and I thought it was interesting.
What did you get in the mail?
Excuse me?
What did you get in the mail?
Don't get into
Yeah, I mean, it's
politics.
irrelevant.
Excuse me.
We don't know.
I'm just telling folks.
Everybody go to the
There's a
front.
microphone up here.
Excuse me, this is a statement by a citizen.
I'm
She
telling
doesn't need
part
to
of
be
the story.
cross-examined on it.
And she just wanted to read something into the record. Okay. And I'm sure she'd be delighted to answer questions after the meeting. All right.
I'll looking to me.
I guess I use the microphone up there. Fellowship Road, the drainage coming down the side there, they've installed a D outlet down there, which is a large square outlet with a pipe coming through the center of it. The problem with that is it's about 1 foot off the road. Now, if a car doesn't clip it, our snowplow will. If a car clips it, they're going to end up on that bank and roll over. It shouldn't be that kind of an outlet. So, and I saw Tammy this afternoon and tried to look at the prints to see what was called for. And Tammy doesn't have a copy of it in the office, so I don't know.
I'll call Brian Kulakowski.
Yeah, he spoke to her.
It should be a flared end inlet or an outlet instead of a large T that's sticking up in the road. They've got the stone pile up behind it, but it's in a heck of an abutment, somebody hits it. The next thing is the spoils dirt that's brought from there. Where is that going? Is that going to Cedar Hollow, or is that,
You asking me, Art?
I'm asking,
You're looking at me.
well, I'm looking at you, but I'm looking at all 3.
I don't know.
Which, I did have to see the drawings. Which one do, if you're at the Miller residence and you're looking at the Fellowship Trail?
Right.
Which one are you talking about?
Fellowship Road.
There's two of them. There's one on the right and there should be one on the left, as I recall.
We're not talking about the same thing, I don't think.
Art, he's thinking there's one on Horseshoe Trail and one on Fellowship.
The pipe will go from Horseshoe Trail, across Fellowship, and then all the way down Fellowship, the
Yeah.
piping will.
Well, the end of it on Fellowship, they've put a big, large, T-shaped concrete abutment in there. Now, why you would put something like that so close to the road, somebody's gonna clip it.
We'll look at it tomorrow, I promise.
Okay, if it's not a snowplow, it's gonna be somebody running into it with a car. And with the hill and the downhill thing, they'll run up on the bank and roll it over. I didn't think that was possible to do, but then somebody did it on the Hollow Road Bridge, and I never, in 70 years, saw that, so I have to believe that anything is possible.
He was a skilled driver.
Well,
You'll talk to Brian, and then we'll
Yes.
report back to the next meeting.
all right, now the spoils dirt that's coming off of there.
Say
The
that
dirt
again?
the dirt that they dig up out of the ditch, what are they doing with that?
I don't know.
We can find that out.
Yeah, we can find
Yeah, you would. And the other one is the, on the job, there's no E&S controls at all on that job. How do we do that? Soil and erosion?
It's Cedarville.
Well, right, but, I mean, if there's no, you have to have soil and erosion controls on the job. And there's
I
no-
got a few questions for him.
Yeah, I haven't been there for a couple of days, so.
Oh, okay. Sorry to blindside you with this, John, but I'm
That's okay.
just asking questions, that's all.
That's fine.
Okay.
I can't wait until Erica gets back. She's coming back Wednesday?
Thank you.
Sure. Any other questions? Yes. Which one do you want to use?
This one. Bernie Corus with the Sustainability Committee. I just want to alert the public and the board that the Sustainability Committee will be having its annual fair on Saturday, October 14th, from 10 to 3. Hoping everybody will come and enjoy it. It's going to be, I don't want to sound like Trump, but it's going to be a pretty good one this year. We have a lot of exhibitors, and it's going to turn out to be pretty fun. So, thank you.
Where will it be?
Tammy, can you make sure they have a sunny day?
Okay. I'll do
Thank you.
that.
Yes.
Sarah was just asking where it's going to be, and it's going to be at the St.,
West Vincent.
the West Vincent Township Elementary School.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bernie.
Francis?
I have a question about Flowing Springs Road where it was paved. There's no drainage. The pipe was never put in, so it's actually going to make the conditions worse. Because it's nice smooth surface and it's just going to run right across the road and into the Francis.
You talking about Flowing Springs just north of the
Yes.
intersection?
Yes, the state part.
Were you going to call?
Yeah, I called Mark to look into that. I haven't heard back, so I'll get in touch with him again.
Okay.
Do you have his private line number? I can
No.
give it to you.
Yes. I have another question. When we built our house some 30 years ago, we were not allowed to put a garage in front of our house, and that was part of the building code. Now, on that same intersection, there are people putting a garage in front of their house. Now, why, since we live in the woods, no one sees our house anyway, why was, we were forced to put our garage on the side where people who live, right on the road could put a garage right on the road?
I'm not the zoning officer, but I can get an answer or have him here at the next meeting to explain it to you.
I would really like to hear the explanation.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Which intersection were you talking about?
Oh, Flowing Springs.
Well, with somebody else back there, have a hand up. I was just clarifying that it was Flowing Springs and Hollow that she was
Correct.
talking about. And that's a PennDOT road, isn't it? So I don't know what Mark's going to be able to do about the
You're
drain.
talking about a drainage just off the road that's
Goes,
maybe blocked.
might go under the.
Let's let Mark answer that question.
Okay, good. The other thing is that Birch Run Village has its own set of setbacks. And I am sure that that plan, which at the last meeting Harriet said they'd taken 2 years to get their approval, I'm sure it meets our zoning ordinance.
Yes. Well, this microphone thing's working out well. I should have thought of that years ago.
That was a good segue into talking with Cedarville Engineering. I have been dealing with them for about 4 months, related to property located on 2020 Pottstown Pike, which is the old Fox Rider.
The old what?
The old Fox Rider building,
bar.
in Florence Springs Road.
You-
Or, excuse me, on Pottstown Pike,
The old bar?
the old bar.
Okay.
So I've been communicating with them and trying to get information because there was work that was being done outside. You know, there was cleanup, and the next thing I know, there was wood out there, and then there was cement out there. So I was communicating with the building inspector. I'm having a real difficult time trying to get information from them. If I have 2 or 3 questions, and this is not just pre-permit, but this is post-permit as well. But when I send them information or I request information, I don't get anything back. I don't get response. Sometimes I get responses back. He'll tell me, well, Mrs. Helwig, don't worry about it. I'm watching over it. You know, I drive by. He finally gets the permit. And I ask for the permit, and I come in, I fill out a right to know, and I don't have a problem with that. But the general questions that I ask Cedarville, I get no response. And those are like questions like zoning, what's allowed on the permit, what's not allowed on the permit. The last time I was in to see Mr. Wargo, he said to me, well, you know, I have other people to answer to besides you. And my question to that was, well, who is that, so I can get my answers? So my question is, I have the emails, I have his response. How do I get questions to the answers about what's going on, and what are just general questions and answers that I can get from him related to zoning and permits related to this property?
Well, first off, let me apologize for your aggravation. I don't have an answer to you tonight. When is our manager coming back?
No,
Monday.
Monday.
Next Monday?
Part-time.
In the first week, she's gonna work 4 hours a day. Is that what I heard?
You can always email us, you know, one of the supervisors,
Okay.
and then
Well,
we can check into it.
I did get, the last response, one email that I got for him in particular, I think I asked 4 questions in the email, and he came back to me, Mrs. Howard, you need to calm down, you need to calm down. And I go, calm down? My husband's 8,000 miles away, he has questions, so I think I have, you know, why should you be offended that I'm asking questions? And then I got an apology back from him, and then he asked me on the last email, I asked 3 or 4 different questions, and he says, well, to provide that information, come down and do the right to know, and Tammy respectfully processed the right to know right away, put it in the mail. Mine's not that kind of response. It's more of the general questions and the professional questions that he should be available to answer, because I'm not asking for information that should be private information. It's just really zoning and permit questions that are really related to what's going on and what will be going on in the future.
One of us will call Tom tomorrow. Could I have your phone number? Do you care to share with us?
Do I have to put it on?
No.
No.
Thank you.
You can write right here.
Okay.
Of course, the camera's right above you looking down.
Right. Thank you.
I will endeavor to give you a call tomorrow with whatever I find out.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Yes.
So I wanted to follow up on the environmental assessment that was approved in the last meeting. There was a pond on French Creek Road there where there's the culvert that's being installed or repaired. I live across the street at 1779 Newtown Road, so I signed my easement and now we're waiting for the other side. I think there were some questions around the nature of that pond, and I wanted to provide some background based on what I've heard about it. I've got some pictures that I can share with you from Lynn Schubert, who lives across there. She's lived there for decades. But it's a pond that had in the past been maintained by one of the previous owners. So before Adele Allen owned that property, there was an older gentleman, I guess he went by Pop. He maintained that pond. There's a pipe that goes from the stream that goes through my yard, goes under French Creek Road, and feeds into that pond. It hasn't been maintained, but there's a pipe there that has a rod that can be used to clear it out. I haven't touched it yet because I don't want to impact the property across the street. But I know that there's interest between me and the other neighbors around keeping that pond if the opportunity was to maintain that. I know that I had reached out to the Allen estate when I had purchased that home from them about possibly getting that property. I know the neighbor on the adjacent side has also tried to reach out to them, never really heard back from them, but I just want to understand if there were conditions with the Allen estate for providing that parcel to the township, and what the plans would be if, depending on what the environmental assessment resulted in.
You know more about this.
I don't know a whole lot more.
I think the property has been actually offered to the township.
Right.
And we have been reluctant to take it because we don't know what's in there environmentally. And as you sound fairly knowledgeable, as you know, once you step into the line of title, you're obliged to participate in any cleanup that has to happen, even if you didn't do it. So we don't want to get ourselves into that. That's been our reluctance to take the property. Now, if you would be willing to, you and your neighbors, to buy it, I don't think we'd fight you at all. We'd probably applaud you, hold your coat.
And the time to do that would be before we do take title to it, because after that, we can only sell it at fair market value,
Right.
which might be a lot higher than it would be from the current owners.
Right.
They might have, they might have their own agenda or reason they're thinking, but we have stayed away from this as much as we can.
Have you reached out to them lately?
Not lately. We tried a few times when we had originally moved in.
I think
so-
now would be a good time.
Okay.
Yes.
If you're interested, here's pictures of, looks like from the old Mercedes in the picture from like the 60s or 70s. You guys want to take a look?
Thanks. Do you want them back, or are these?
No,
okay?
you guys can have those.
Thank you.
Anyone else want to?
Any other questions for discussion? Sarah?
Was the environmental assessment complete?
No, I don't think so.
I haven't received the report.
We just
Okay.
approved that.
So it was just
This
approved and
is West
it's,
Vincent Township, nothing gets funded 2 weeks.
is it Cedarville engineer doing it? Is Cedarville doing it?
I don't know if they're doing it.
I'm not sure.
So we don't know when to expect it.
I would assume sooner rather than later. It's a pretty simple thing, but no,
Thank you.
they didn't give us a date.
And we don't know who they is.
What are we looking at here?
So that's the pond back when it was maintained. So on the top is.
Oh, it's frozen up.
Yeah,
There's
it's at
skating.
one time they're ice skating, and the bottom is, it's summertime.
Was
From what
mine.
I've heard from Ms. Schubert, kids used to go in there, swim in there, and obviously ice skate in the
It
winter.
looks bigger in the picture
It
than.
looks bigger, yeah. It's bigger than
It's
it
not
is.
small. Where is it?
It's at the corner of
Wilson's
French Creek
Corner.
Road and
Okay.
Newtown Road, so Wilson's Corner.
So it's on the street.
So it's between French Creek Road and the creek itself.
The only interest that the township that I've ever heard interested in is to leave it as parking for fishermen to get off the road and park. I forget how many cars you could get there, but at least I think it was 5 or so.
And right next to it is township owned property, right?
Yes.
So people who park there.
Yes. Thank you. Good luck with that. I'll reach out to them sooner.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions on non-agenda items? Then I'll entertain a motion to end this meeting. Second?
Yes.
All those in favor?
Good
Thank you
job.
all, folks.